Hello, this video is going to introduce how to create a modular grid in both Illustrator and InDesign. So if I'm looking at the project statement right now, and the first thing you want to make sure you note it is that the document should set up at 20 inches by 24 inches. You have to set it up in CMYK color mode, and then I'm going to recommend that you also set up bleeds. So we're going to start in Illustrator. So I have my Illustrator open. I'm going to go to New File, Print. Make sure you go to inches, and then I'm going to set my size at 20 by 24. If you hear something crunching in the background, that is my dog. I'm chewing on a bone. But anyway, so we're going to do portrait orientation. I'm going to set up a bleed. I always automatically set up a bleed on everything because that kind of reminds you that if you do have a color that gets pulled out to the edge, that you take it past that edge for printing purposes. So CMYK, make sure it's high points per inch, and that's all I want to set right now. So I'm going to hit create. The one thing Illustrator doesn't do is automatically set up guides. So I'm going to turn my rulers on, and I'm just going to set my guides at 1 inch. You can do 1/2 inch, you can do 3/4 of an inch. I'm just going to do 1 inch for ease of use. And always make sure you set up margins, because that's sort of helps you keep everything that's important within those within that area. It doesn't mean you have to have white edges by any means. You can pull your color out. You just want to make sure all the important information like text stays on the inside, far away from the trim. And then I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle that fits that orientation. I'm going a little faster. You want to kind of make sure that you hit your guidelines. I guess I could probably move this over a little bit. So I'm going to move this over to make sure that I'm hitting my guides. And then you're going to go to Object, Path, and then Split into Grid. So once you do that, and this is the kind of thing where, you're going to need multiple rows, multiple columns, look at the text document, think about the text that you have. Think about line length, think about hierarchy, all those things that you want to take into consideration. And you don't have to stick to this one grid. You're going to be doing 3 different layouts initially for the critique. So you could try 3 different layouts. You could try using the same in different, text orientations. Obviously, my box wasn't really drawn totally correctly, so just, make sure when you draw your initial rectangle that you do that properly. But you're not locked into this grid. This is just something that you want to kind of test. So I'm going to do rows. Let's say I'll do 6 rows, and then I'm going to do 4 columns. You want to make sure you have a gutter. So I usually err on the side of, especially with the poster that is this big, 20 by 24 inches, I usually will do a larger gutter. So I'm just going to do 1/4 of an inch. By no means do you have to do this. This is just for demonstration purposes. You can add guides if you want to, and that way you can kind of move them around a little bit if you change your mind. But the whole purpose of a modular grid is that each mod is the same size, and this really helps you do that without having to do math. And I'm going to do a preview. So this is what my grid will look like. And, I think this is okay. If I don't do guides, it just looks like this. So it's completely up to you. These will not print. These act just like guides. They won't print. So it's up to you if you want to turn the guides on or off. And then hit OK. And then you have your modular grid. And then you'll align objects to that grid as you start adding the text from that document. And any other, shapes or linear elements that you decide to add. So and then you would do a save as and follow the project statement as far as that goes. In InDesign, it works pretty similarly. So I'm going to open my window a little bit bigger. And again, you can choose whether to use InDesign or Illustrator. I'm going to leave that up to you. So I'm going to go to New File, go to Print, make sure we're in inches, which we are, set up 20 by 24. InDesign's a little easier because it does set your margins for you. So I'm just going to do 3/4 of an inch margins. Again, I'm going to go ahead and set my bleed to 0.125 just so that I have it there. And then I'm going to, make sure you turn off facing pages. You don't need facing pages because you're just doing, one poster. And then I'm going to hit create. So you can see my, excuse me, my margins are already there. So I'm going to go to, layout, create guides, so you don't have to initially draw a box in InDesign. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do, and it starts to kind of draw it for you. So I'm going to do 6 rows, and this time I'm going to try 5 columns and see what that looks like. You want to fit your guides to the margins because we're not putting anything outside, like anything important outside the margins. You'll see if you just do it to the page, these edge boxes are going to be a little bit different of a size. So you want to make sure to do margins. And then you can, turn off and on the preview. Again, this isn't going to print, but I'm also going to make my gutters a little bit bigger because I just feel like with a poster this size, the gutters should be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to hit OK, and there is your modular grid for InDesign. So pretty easy. That's how you'll go ahead and set them up. And email me if you have any questions.